Hey guys, welcome to It Figures. I know what you're thinking. You're in your basement studio, Dirt. What's going on? Where's Killen? Where's Scotty Cash? What's going on with all that stuff? Well, had some snafus this evening, to put it mildly. For one thing, I don't know if you're aware, but if you've been following the news at all, there's a big blizzard kind of hitting the middle of America right now, and that's us. And so Scotty Cash is out plowing the roads. He works for the township, so he's out plowing. And we had a bit of a comic book catastrophe today. A whole bunch of books were damaged. And so Killen is trying to work with all that inventory stuff right now. Like a big stack of comics that are all messed up. And it was just kind of one of those evenings where, between the storms and all of the stuff that was going wrong, doing the episode tonight just wasn't going to happen. And it almost got to the point where we just said, maybe we'll tweet something and we'll just put up a note saying we're not doing it. But, I kind of decided I would at least try to do something for you guys. And if nothing else, just come down here to my wonderful basement studio here and at least go over the fan corner. I know a lot of you guys like to come for the news. And I used to do the news separately, and then I rolled it into It Figures. And, uh, it was just, it's just one of those things where it's just not going to happen right now. So barring any other massive, like if the power goes out or anything like that, we're just kind of screwed. But hopefully we can get through this. I'm going to go through the fan corner. As far as news, there's some fans project stuff that somebody sent me, but I have to do some more research because I'm not real big into fans project stuff. Not that I have anything really against it. I just don't know a lot about it. So there's some of that stuff to look at. So we'll talk about some of that next week. There on He-Man.org. Toy Guru did a whole bunch of stuff talking about Castle Grayskull, a bunch of questions answered. So you can go over to He-Man.org, check out that thread. It's a pretty big deal. One thing that did happen is they did reveal, if you're I think it's for the Filmation sub, the exclusive. They wanted to show off one of the upcoming characters. So I guess it's Seahawk, which I guess is a Princess of Power figure. I never watched She-Ra. I was already grown out of He-Man by the time all the She-Ra stuff hit, so none of that really means much to me. But Seahawk, I guess if you're big into the Filmation stuff, you're looking for that guy. He is coming. So anyway, we're going to jump now to the fan corner and answer as many of these questions as I can. And we'll just see what happens here. First up, Clone Yoshi, as usual, first person that posts in the fan corner thread. Says, hey guys, do you think there will ever be a Batman Beyond movie? I love the series and would like to somewhat of a Nolan type version on the big screen. He'd like somewhat of a Nolan type Batman Beyond movie. I really don't think so. I really don't think that's going to happen unless they can do something to kind of revitalize the character and push him back into the mainstream. Right now, you do have the digital online weekly Batman Beyond comics, and then they do get reprinted monthly. If you want to buy the print copies, you can go in every month and get the print copy of Batman Beyond Unlimited, is what they're calling it. So if you're into that, you can grab that. There's also a Superman Beyond. If you like the Superman version of the character on that show. So there is that stuff that you can look forward to. But as far as a movie, I really don't think that's going to happen unless they can do another animated one as part of like the DC, the direct to Blu-ray animated stuff. And those are great if you're looking forward to any of those. But as far as like getting a live action, big budget, $400 million Batman Beyond movie, I really don't think that's ever going to happen. It'd be cool if they did, but I just don't see it. Belgian Lego Man says, hey guys, one for killing. Oh, sorry. Now that summer 2013 Lego sets are revealed at Toy Fair, is there one particular set that really stands out for you? To me, it's Jabba's sail barge set for sure. Um, he did mention that he really liked the new line, the uh, I want to say Chimera, but I know that's wrong. It's basically like the Thundercats versions of Lego. They have a bunch of animals as humanoid creatures with a bunch of vehicles and stuff. And I know he was looking at a lot of that stuff, saying that's really cool, and wanted to get some of that. Um, but I mean, beyond that, it's just the minifigure stuff that he's really been talking about. Next up from Orko, he says, "Hey guys, here's something I've wondered since I was a kid. Years ago, using any scrap of damaged comic, old magazine, any kind of artwork, and a lot of tape, I tried making my own set of trading cards based on a fan fiction series I was writing back in high school, which was terrible. Clearly, this homemade trading card series would never really get made, nor was it ever finished. Add on the fact that I always wanted to put my most popular fan fiction together and print it out and send it to anyone who would want a copy. The problem is it would cost over $40 just to print out a single copy. My question is this: if I wanted to make either of these and charge just what it would cost to produce the items and nothing for profit, would I still be breaking the law? That's kind of a tough question. Um, it's going to depend on how it's presented. If you're presenting it as new material of copyrighted characters, then that could be a problem if there's a charge for it. If you write your fan fiction and make it available online and anybody can download it, then that's generally okay. And I mean, there's really nothing that they can do about it, and they don't really care most of the time. If you were to print it out as like a book, then yeah, you definitely get a lot of problems for that. As far as the trading cards go, if you were to make a set if you were to collage a set and say it's an artistic endeavor, and then somehow showcase that artwork, like make a book of what the cards look like or something, maybe, because when you do something as an art project, you're transforming it. You would have to make enough of a change. But if you just say like cut out Kitty Pryde, put a hat on her, and take a different picture of Xavier's mansion and put it on top of that and say Kitty Pryde, then yeah, you'd definitely be in trouble for doing something like that. If you could somehow collage original work and just use the character, there you can work around it in certain ways by using different types of mixed media and showing that you're making a transformative work. But I mean, really, for the most part, no, just don't do it. It's a bad idea. If you want to make the cards and then like scan them in the computer or even do them digitally as a digital collage and then just like throw them up on your website and people can just download them if they want to and they can print them out themselves, then that's generally not an issue. But yeah, once you start to make it yourself, even if you're not making a profit, you're still undercutting their ability to do the same thing. So also, for Scotty Cash or Dirt, if Scotty is unavailable, which he is, for that Power Rangers card game, does the card series have many different Rangers from different shows or just the current team? The sets that we had, the starter packs, were actually split in two. And in one side, it was, I believe, the new team, and on the other side, it was Samurai. So you had the different Rangers from the Samurai team and the different Rangers from the new team, and you could mix them together. But that's all that was available in that starter pack. Now, in the actual booster packs, there were some from different series mixed in, and apparently there are going to be more starters. Like there's going to be a villain starter pack, and there might be like a classic Rangers starter pack or whatever. So those other characters do exist now if you buy the boosters, and in the future, apparently they will have starter decks for that. And if you know Japanese, apparently a lot of these are already out in Japan. They have bunches of different starters and maybe a couple waves of boosters or whatever. They just now got to the U.S. But if you speak Japanese or you just know enough that, I mean, really for the most part, those cards are based on the numbers. The only thing you'd have to worry about is if they had any special abilities, and most of that you probably look up online anyway. So if you were really worried about it, you could probably import it. All right, next up from Jobber. He says, "Hey guys, can you shed a little more light on the new show? What format will it be? Who will be hosting? What material will be discussed?" A lot of it is still in flux at the moment. For the most part, it's going to be the four of us. Intern Rick is going to try to be able to be part of the show. It's just that he's got school right now, and his school his school schedule is interfering with doing It Figures. This show, the way it is made, We'll have the ability to pre-tape different segments, so he may be able to still participate if he can't be there on the night that we actually sit down to film the bulk of the show. But for the most part, what it will be is news and reviews. Instead of having like It Figures, we sit there with just kind of like the white wall behind us, and we just kind of read through the news and we just kind of talk about it, comment on it. We read the fan corner questions, and then you come to the website and we've got different video shows, different reviews about stuff. Um, Instead of it being something along those lines where it's just kind of like random where you're going to find the different information and different reviews, the idea is to make the one flagship show. So on the one flagship show, you would have um, toy news, you would have comic book news, you would have video game news, like we used to do on the Video Game Losers. You would have Killen and I would do a pre-tape video segment of a video game review, like we used to do for Video Game Losers, and we have a couple more of those reviews to pop out. So keep an eye on the website. But it'd be one of those things where we would, if you watch any of those reviews, we would introduce the game. There'd be a short video segment, kind of giving the history of the game, and then we come back and basically rate it and discuss it and do whatever. And so it would be something along those same lines. Um, so if you were looking for the video game stuff, it would be there. We would do something similar with comics. We would do some comic news, talking about some of the new stuff coming out and some of the stuff that's happening in the industry, and then do review. And that would be a lot briefer, I think, than the toy news or the game news, because we'd spend more time, because so many comics come out every week. Do a lot of talking about some of the comics coming out, and like Apocalypse from Comaholics, he might be able to pop in because we could pre-tape some of those, because he's usually dealing with bedtime with his girls at the time we're already filming the show. So he'd be able to come in and do some reviews and whatever, and we could talk about some of that stuff. And with the toy stuff, we would go back to some of those pre-taped segments like we used to do on That New Toy Smell, where we'd pull out a bunch of old RoboCop figures and talk about the old RoboCop line, or we would go through like my collection of Voltrons. I've got, like, oh my gosh, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 different Voltrons sitting on the shelf. So doing a video segment, talking about some of that stuff. And it's not that all of that would be every week. And we're not sure, like, will we just like start with a news desk and go through all the news and then go into the other segments? It's like we haven't worked out exactly all the details, but we do have a lot of the different chunks that would be a part of the show more or less figured out of what we want to do. The question is, what would we do every week? What would we do once a month? What would we just do as demand? Um, and so it would give us some sort of flexibility, give us the ability to kind of keep it fresh, because a lot of times we get burned out on stuff. You guys get burned out watching a lot of the same stuff over and over. We get burned out doing a lot of the same stuff. So that would give us the ability to kind of play with it a little bit, and also give us the ability to throw in some of those goofy skits and some of that stuff, because there would be the pre-tape stuff mixed in. And so it'd be one of those things where Mr. TF Prime would still be doing his Transformer reviews. Tim Dog would still be doing his comic book reviews. Nick Federico would still be doing Movie Mania and Spotlight and whatever. So you'd still have all of that stuff throughout the week. But as far as us, like the main guys, our main stuff would be, we would work on it throughout the week to package it into this one show. And then you get that one nice, slick, produced show that looks nice, has a nice production to it, and that kind of puts us back on the track of, It Figures would never be collected onto a DVD. I mean, let's face it, it's not the right format. It's not going to work for that. We might do some best of and pull out some different like fun discussions and whatever, but there's just no way. We want to go back to one of those types of shows where you have some of the timely material like the news, but then you'd also have timeless material like we had in That New Toy Smell, where 5 years from now, sure, there may be more Voltrons out there, but it's still fun to go back and look at the rundown of all the other Voltrons. You know what I mean? So that would be the idea. And a lot of the stuff that we did on That New Toy Smell, we did years ago when we were using like digital still cameras and just flipping it to video to record digital video. You know, some of that stuff we filmed on VHS tapes and then put the tapes into a machine and hooked it to the computer and captured all the video that way. So a lot of it just looks cruddy and it looks old, and we had a hard time figuring out aspect ratios. And once the show got to be a certain length, you know, it's like trying to upload an hour-long show a couple years ago, trying to upload like a 2 gig video. You're like, oh my gosh. And YouTube would only let you go 10 minutes, and then you could only go 1 gig. And, you know, you had all these kind of weird stuff going on. And now that's not really a problem anymore. So we can go back and revisit some of that old stuff that we had done before, and some of the stuff that I failed at. Like I did a bot shots video a month or so ago, and it looked terrible. I had a problem with the white balance that I just could not fix and could not figure out because I've got some new equipment, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, we want that opportunity to go back and have the time to sit down and fix it, make it look nice, make it look slick, make it look like a you know, a show, a real show, and maybe make some new graphics to go along with it. Um, so that's, you know, just one of the things that we're thinking about is, you know, there's a lot of different things that could be done and a lot of things that we want to do. Just how exactly it all kind of filters out remains to be seen. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's more or less what we're looking at, how it's going to be, and what we're looking to do with that show. I still think it should be called Pop Culture Network the show. I'm happy with that. Just Pop Culture Network the show, or even the Pop Culture Network show. Um, Killen wants to call it Pop Culture Network News, which I don't even like that. All right, last one here from Yoda Soup. He says, "Hey fellas, shed some light on what the appeal of toys are to you and why you collect them. In your mind, what does a toy require when you were looking at it?" That's a tough question. Heater's kicking on. Thanks, Heater. Um, Part of it's just you know, reclaiming your youth, things that you miss, things that you want to have, and especially things that you want to share. Like I've got kids, and so the idea of something I grew up with that I can share with them. There might be like a new version, or you know, recapturing some of that old stuff, looking for it. Um, Sometimes it's just so well made, it's so well sculpted, so well executed, that you know, there are a lot of toys I look at and it's almost like I'm looking at a piece of art. You know, I just can't get enough of staring at it. And so as far as some toys go, that's what I'm looking for. Um, I, you know, there's a lot of stuff I have and I don't even know why. To be quite honest, someone made me the right offer. They might be able to walk out with some of it. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, why does anybody collect anything? Why collect comics or paperback novels or CDs? I guess that one's pretty much passed. Um, you know, I mean, if you look at our message boards, there are guys collecting laser discs. Falcon Hood goes out and just buys all the laser discs he can find because it's part of the collection. I don't know, what is the nature of a collector. You know, why have anything? Um, you know, why not just be a hobo living in a shack in the woods, or a van down by the river? Um, I think a lot of it just goes back to your childhood and just wanting to enjoy something. Just have something that's, in a sense, meaningless, but it has a meaning in a different way. And that's a lot of the fun stuff that goes with it. Um, there's a bunch of stuff in my basement I'd probably chuck if I had a dumpster out there. Um, you know, I don't know. I don't think I need the election '08 John McCain bobblehead anymore, you know, but it's over there. Uh, you know, some of the Eagle Moss lead figures I'd probably be willing to sell, but the shipping on them is so expensive, no one would want to buy them. You know what I mean? Um, some of it's just, I do play with some of my toys, which I know freaks people. My wife will laugh at me because she'll sometimes walk in the TV room and I'm laying on the floor and I've got, you know, like a playset set up and I'm doing the little things. I've got like the little Star Trek, you know, miniature playsets, kind of like the Mighty Max stuff, but Star Trek Next Generation. And there were times when I'd be sitting there playing with it and she'd walk in the room and she'd just kind of look at me like I'm crazy, you know. But I do enjoy playing with a lot of the stuff too. So that's probably a problem, that I enjoy playing with my toys. Um, But yeah, I mean, it's just, it's like anything. It's just you find something about it you enjoy, probably because of your imagination, and so you stick with it, and that's why you collect. Now, Killen, I know a lot of stuff that he collects is because there's some monetary value involved. He's one of those guys that he's all about the deal. He likes to go to the Toyman Toy Show or the Kane County Fairgrounds Toy Show or some of those things around Illinois, and he's all about trying to find something that he can buy for like $5 that he knows he can sell online for 50. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's part of the idea of putting a collection together to sell the collection, finding all the pieces of something to sell. So that's kind of a big thing, a big draw for him on a lot of that stuff. Um, and a lot of it's just at some point you're going to want it for something. I know I have a bunch of stuff that I want to share with my son. He's not quite old enough yet. He's starting to get there. He's starting to get old enough, but he's still things with little pieces he'll lose. But big stuff, Transformers he can play with without breaking them most of the time, whatever. So I've actually sat down with him before, and we pulled out the toys and played with them, Transformers and Tron figures and Voltrons and stuff like that. And it's sharing something. He always wants to share with me the stuff he loves. I want to share with him the stuff I love. My daughter loves the Trash Pack stuff, and some of those little figures, and so we'll just sit there and go through them and play with them. And part of that is having something to share with her. You've got this connection with them. So that's part of the reason too. I mean, there's a million reasons why. Those are just some of the ones I know of. Scotty just thinks he's Superman, so he buys a lot of Superman toys, but I don't think he can fly yet. If he's figured that out, though, I will correct that next week. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you want to leave a question for the Fan Corner, you can go to jointheforums.com, part of the Pop Culture Network. You can check out more episodes of this show, better episodes, full episodes, with actually multiple people talking, not just me. You can go to itfigurespodcast.com, part of the Pop Culture Network. Don't forget to stay tuned to the Pop Culture Network for more video games, toys, and comic news and reviews. And stay tuned for the new show, Pop Culture Network, the show. But I'm probably going to lose on that one. But I like that name. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.